So what kind of money blocks are there? What flavors are they? Well, there are a number. I'm just going to go through a few of the money block categories that I look at all the time. First one is the money ceiling. It is probably the most common. As far as I can tell, everyone has one, although some people never make that up to it. So they're doing okay and they're fine and they aren't going to try to go beyond it. Business owners often are trying to get beyond and they'll hit that money ceiling and it will actually limit you from making or keeping more money than your subconscious is comfortable with. Not consciously, you'd be much more comfortable with more money. Your subconscious, though, says, no, we have to keep you at this lower level. It's got that ceiling on that puts a cap on how much money you allow yourself to have. Maybe it's an amount that has you living with the same kinds of worries and struggles that you saw your parents going through when you were growing up. Maybe it's an amount that makes you feel like you fit in with friends and family. Maybe it's an amount that actually provides you a decent life, but you know you could have so much more, but it's just not happening. Then there are money messages. Money is bad, money is evil. And so if you've got one like that in your subconscious says, oh, okay, we won't let you have any money. Money corrupts. We're not going to let you get corrupted. Money is unsafe. That can be another message that can come in your subconscious. So then you don't keep any around. Remember the parents fighting like that? I also had a client who who recognized they had a money block after they had a fairly successful career and then business. But after a bit, it kicked in. And it kicked in when we went digging for it. It was around money leading to kidnapping. Rich people had their kids kidnapped. It was a fear of her kids getting kidnapped. And it kicked in when she had the kids and they got to the age of going off to school. So she couldn't watch them all the time. So even if something doesn't start until later, sometimes it goes all the way back to childhood. She had been watching things in the 70s. There was a spate of stories about kidnappings of rich kids. I think it was in Brazil or someplace like that. And that went in and didn't get triggered until her kids got to a certain age. Okay, money messages like, oh yeah, anything about rich people being mean or evil or greedy. If you've got one of those, your subconscious will not let you have more money. It's protecting you from becoming those things that you hate, right? And then there's some money messages around you can't have money and something you want more. So I can't have money and love. So I'll choose money. I won't have any money. I will choose love. I won't have any money. That's what your subconscious decides. I can't have money and be a good mother. Well, obviously I want to be a good mother, so I won't have any money. I can't have money and be a good Christian or a good person. So you choose not to have more money, but only subconsciously, not consciously. Another source of these blocks is your identity. How your subconscious sees you. So if you have a sort of belief from wherever it came from that I'm bad with numbers, I'm bad with money, your subconscious thinks, oh, you can't handle money, so you shouldn't have any of it. Maybe you have something like, I'm supposed to be in debt, or I'm meant to struggle, I'm meant to suffer, or I had one client who had only doctors can be wealthy because in her family, that's the way you had a good career. You made a lot of money because you were a doctor, a medical doctor. But she was not going to do that. That was not her path. And so for her, since she wasn't a medical doctor, she couldn't be wealthy, according to her subconscious. And then I had a client who had a belief they were a starving artist. They had a great commercial real estate business that had a potential for so much more. And yet they were just sort of, I mean, they were doing okay, but they're kind of limping along compared to where they should be, right? So when we went looking, it turned out they had this identity of a starving artist. And they were an artist. I mean, they had done their early 20s couch surfing and being in studio apartments with 5 other guys or whoever, being artists. And it was exciting and it was fun. And they always knew they were an artist. And then eventually they started the business so they could, pay the bills, eat, have a family, all those things. But they were still going to be an artist. They did. They kept their art going. But because they'd internalized that identity of being a starving artist in their 20s. They couldn't let their business reach its potential. It sort of, it's like driving with the parking brake on. It just couldn't get going, right? Then there are loyalty issues. That's where having money feels to your subconscious like being disloyal to somebody. Could be mom, could be dad, could be another family member. I actually had a client who had a disloyalty issue to a region she grew up in, a region with some poverty. And so the subconscious said, no, it'd be disloyal to that region where I grew up for me to have more money. Now, an interesting point to be aware of here, it can feel like you would be disloyal to someone who's no longer in your life. They've died, they've left, something like that. So even if dad left 30 years ago and you haven't seen him since, even if your sister died when you were in your teens, even if you know that mom would be thrilled that you have more money now, you can still have a block that says that you can't have more money because it would be disloyal to any of them. Because, and I'll say this over and over again, the subconscious is not logical, it's not rational. It just has a rule and it makes you live by it until you change it. So one of the more powerful ones like that is when a sibling has died. And you don't want to, your subconscious is saying, well, if I have this great life, that would be disloyal to them because they can't have that now. So don't discount any of that when you're figuring out your own subconscious blocks. All right. A big area is feeling unworthy or undeserving or good enough to have these things that you want. So that can show up with like a belief, a rule that, well, others are better than me, so I can't make more. Or other people are suffering, so I shouldn't make more. And sometimes the rule is just all encompassing. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. I'm undeserving. When I'm working with a client who has one of these kind of umbrella blocks that's so big, I end up limiting the I'm not good enough piece to smaller pieces. If you try to tap on the whole I'm not good enough, you'll be tapping until the cows come home and you're not going to make much of a dent in it. You have to limit it to I'm not good enough to raise my rates 10%, for example. Then you can tap on that and bring that one down, and then you can do another one. I'm not good enough to have a team that supports me. Okay, tap on that. You drop them down one by one, and eventually that whole big block will fall. And here's one of my favorites. I just love the owl, by the way. These are blocks that are camouflaged as money blocks. They impact your money, they do, but really the block is about something else. So here's some examples. Let's say you have a block that says, I have to work hard. Your family had that good Puritan work ethic or whatever, where I have to work hard. You grew up with that, and that's in your subconscious. And if you had more money, well, you'd hire somebody, you'd delegate, you would not work this hard, and it would be fine, it would be great. But your subconscious is still playing the I have to work hard rule. And so it won't let you make enough money to be able to hire and delegate, because then you wouldn't work hard, and you have to work hard, according to your subconscious, right? Again, not rational, not logical. There it is. I have to work too hard to make more money. That's another one. It sounds similar, but it's actually kind of different. If you have to work too hard to make more money, your subconscious won't let you do the things that could make more money, because then you'd have to work too hard. So it can keep you not working very hard, but not making more money. And if you just did a little more, you'd make more money, but your subconscious won't let you do that. Again, the subconscious is not rational. It's not logical. Because even you might know full well, if I made more money, well, then I'd hire somebody and be able to work less because they are doing some of that work and I'm delegating it, but I'd still be making more money and I'd be fine. But your subconscious is still in the, well, if you have to work too hard to make more money, and therefore you'd make yourself sick. So we're not going to let that happen. Okay. I had a client who wasn't reaching the potential in her business, and she had a subconscious block that's really interesting. It demonstrates another way of looking at this. If you think about what you would do if you had more money, your subconscious might shut you down from making more money, because what happened with this woman, when we went looking, she knew that if she had more money, she would hire, and she would have more time, more energy, and more money, so that she could actually be able to work on music. That was something that was really important to her. But she also was afraid that if she worked on her music, then and show it to others, that they would tell her she was no good. And so to protect herself from that kind of an experience, she didn't let herself have the kind of money that would grow her business to the point where she would have that time and energy to work on her music.